I'm so excited to be here tonight with Dwayne Harty, world-renowned Canadian artist, a wildlife artist, and has done many paintings across Canada, the United States, and around the world, and is here tonight to announce a very, very exciting art program. And without getting into it, I'm going to turn it over to Dwayne to give his explanation of what this exciting endeavor is all about.
Well, thank you. Briefly, the project is a 3-year venture to depict the bison of the world, and sponsored by the Canadian Wildlife Federation and many friends and private sponsors that have taken to the project. So it's really exciting. We've spent the day in southwestern Saskatchewan. Part of what I'll be doing for this project is painting plein air in many different locations across Canada, the US, and Europe. But today I spent most of it painting plein air to gather first-hand landscape material into which to place the bison. Last September, the European component was initiated through an American sponsor, and I traveled to Poland and met with Dr. Wanda Olick, who's one of the leading world authorities on the conservation and restitution of the European bison. Here in Canada, I'm also working with a number of people, both sides of the border, notably David Hillary with the Canadian Wildlife Federation, and have traveled to some private ranches to gather material, photographic and landscape material, similar to these little plein air paintings. And Dr. Glenn Plum from Livingston, Montana. He's actually head of the World Bison Specialist Group for the IUCN, which is the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. So essentially over the next 3 years, I'll be spending a great deal of time in the field, studying the 3 bison of the world. In North America, we have the 2 subspecies, very different in configuration and habitat. The plains bison, which we all know so well, inhabiting the plains in numbers ranging from 30, some say 40 to 50 million. And the wood bison, which is more northern subspecies. And in Europe, we'll be traveling to Poland again this fall to gather material in the Carpathian Mountains and in northeastern Suwałki region of Poland, where there's been very successful satellite herds reintroduced into those regions of Poland. So it's quite exciting. I'll be painting all along the way.
Which places are you going to be painting, Dwayne? What are some of the locations that we can expect you to paint from and report back to us?
Yeah, that's the fun part. Well, for instance, this large piece, which I've been waiting to hear from the scientist in Banff National Park, who is responsible for monitoring the herd. Karsten Huhr is his name. And I'll be meeting with Karsten on the 16th of August in Banff to talk about his knowledge of what that herd might have been their first autumn, which is what this painting is meant to depict. So I'll be in Banff National Park, ranging north to Edmonton to Elk Island National Park, and even much further north to Wood Buffalo National Park to study the wood bison. And points south, the Niobrara Bison Range in Nebraska. 2 notable preservations in South Dakota, and one in Colorado, and one in New Mexico as well, another private ranch. It's so interesting because many of the people involved are from both private and public sectors with a passion to help preserve this wonderful animal, which is a keystone species. It really does enable the prairie to be a very healthy habitat. So there's a great deal of effort now to reintroduce bison to make sure the herds are kept healthy.
And how many paintings or events are you going to be holding? How many pieces will you be painting in the 3 years, and where will some of the exhibitions take place, Dwayne?
Over the next 3 years, between large formal works, which this will be one when it's completed, not too long from now, sketches, charcoal sketches, plein air paintings, probably a total of about 100 pieces. Yeah. Drawings, sketches, preliminaries, designs, and then the larger finished oils.
And why do we think the bison is so important to the history of the world, having said that it was involved and an important part of the economy in Europe and Canada and North America? What is the big story about the bison, and where do you see this project going?
Well, we've been in discussions with several museums in Canada and the US. So it's part of the journey that has yet to be taken on, yet to be concluded, and that will be to attract museum venues where the public can come and get a broad sense of bison in the world, of which there are 2 species, in North America the 2 subspecies, in Europe the 1 species. And of course, it's by way of education. For instance, the European bison, or Wisent it's called, was extinct in the wild in 1919. So, and it has a very unique but parallel history to ours, our plains and wood bison. So I think it's important to bring the story right up to the present day. And some of the narratives that will be displayed in the imagery that I'm creating will be backed up by the scientists that I'm working with that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Bright people, and significantly involved in bison, keeping the bison as pure as possible and making sure the habitats that they need are managed well and there's enough to sustain them.
I wanted to ask too about your paintings, the 100 paintings that you'll be doing. What happens to those? Do they go to a museum? Are you going to be selling them? How does that work?
The partnership with the Canadian Wildlife Federation is such that when the inventory is completed, when I finish all of the work, then they'll go on a museum tour, and the sale of the works, because I'll be retaining the originals. From that point on, the sale, they'll be for sale, and a portion of the sale, a percentage, will be driven back to the Canadian Wildlife Federation for the great work that they do.
And what about for those of us that might not have the opportunity to buy an original painting, but is there an opportunity for the public to purchase prints of the various items, or is that something that you don't do?
No, we're looking into that. It's this is just the inception of the project. So it's just at the beginning. So there are a number of factors that I hope you'll follow and join and follow as things progress. We've had some very keen interest from publishers, both print-wise and book companies. So it's pretty exciting. We have lots of interest from many people. And now I'm able to take some time set aside to just focus on the painting. And then the other main component will be working in the field.
Now, as I understand, you're going to be taking us along with you. Anyone who wants to follow on Facebook, Twitter, other social media, can you just explain a little bit how we can be with you during this journey? How can we join you?
Log on to my Facebook page, and I'll be utilizing that technology and others as well. Facebook, Twitter, possibly Twitch. Again, we're in the process of getting that up and running. I'd enjoy hearing or answering any questions that you might send in via Facebook.
So people will be able to have a conversation with you while you're painting on site, Dwayne? Is that the thought that you have?
That's the thought. And if not on location, because some of it will be very remote. And for instance, Wood Buffalo National Park, I'll be in the middle of vast wilderness areas, so it might be a little difficult, I'm not sure. But definitely when I'm back in my studio at home, in the house where everything is set up for this, absolutely, yeah.
Well, just know that we wish you the very best of luck. We're proud of you as a fellow Canadian, and
I appreciate that.
Want you to be successful, and we're very proud of the project that involves the bison of North America and the world.
Well, I appreciate it a great deal, and my thanks go out to friends, sponsors, and the Canadian Wildlife Federation.